A woman from Stow is questioning just how accurate those COVID tests are after she got letters saying two of her kids were positive. Now, here's the kicker. Those children were never tested.
Yeah, 5 on Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh tells us those notification letters were from the Summit County Public Health Department.
Amanda Naso, her husband, and 4 kids were all having a runny nose, cough, things like that. Well, eventually those letters arrived at her house saying that 2 of her kids had tested positive for COVID, but she says there are problems with that. And we also have a public health leader who calls into question the overall COVID testing. This hasn't been easy, has it?
No, it's been stressful.
Stressful because during a pandemic, Amanda Naso's whole family had mild cold symptoms. She took her 2 older kids to be tested. Her husband's employer wanted him to get tested as a precaution. Now, his rapid test came back positive, but
they were going to do other testing just because of the uncertainty with the rapid, especially after, the governor's false positive on the rapid.
A blood test, inconclusive. A more comprehensive PCR test, negative. Amanda says her test and 2 of her kids' tests were negative too. But then the letters arrive.
I have 2 letters in front of me that, these are positive tests where these children were never at the doctor.
You see, Amanda's 2 youngest children, Jude and Scarlett, never saw a medical professional and were never tested.
It's so inconsistent that I can't trust the numbers anymore. And then seeing something like this, it's just like how many of these positives are not real positives.
We asked Summit County Health Commissioner Donna Skota about Amanda's claims.
I will not answer any details to a specific case.
Even though she'll sign a waiver form saying...
I will not answer any questions on a specific case.
So we turned our attention to testing.
How reliable are the rapid tests?
That's debatable.
The reasons? She says she's seen some strange testing kits out there. The novel virus keeps changing.
The testing of it has been pretty, I would say, sporadic.
So, what happens when you get a positive rapid test, but then you get a negative PCR test?
If a person's reporting symptoms and has one of those 2 tests positive, they could very well report it as positive.
Amanda tells us she's been contacted by the state auditor's office. The auditor is now part of a multi-state examination of just how accurate COVID testing is, so that the office can
provide valuable feedback to our key policymakers during the pandemic now and to confirm the data for Ohioans.
You can submit any results that you think are questionable to the auditor's site. Allie says that audit should be wrapped up by the end of the year. Meanwhile, for Amanda, even though the health department says those letters are just a misunderstanding, she's not so sure.
How many of these positives aren't even real or were actually negatives?
And as we found out, the health departments here in Ohio are not matching up the rapid tests with the PCR tests to see just how often those are false. Although we are finding out from SCOTA, the Ohio Department of Health just recently ordered that negative tests have to be reported to the state as well as the positive tests. I'm 5 on Your Side investigator Jonathan Walsh.